The Battle of Scheveningen was the final naval battle of the First Anglo-Dutch War. It took place on the 31st of July 1653 between the fleets of the Commonwealth of England and the United Provinces, and had no clear victory. The name Battle of Texel may be questionable. There are two other known sea battles of that name, both fought near the island of Texel. However, Der Heide lies approximately 140 kilometers south of Texel, which makes it unlikely that the reference to Texel is correct. Background: after the victory at the Battle of the Gabbard in June 1653, the English fleet of 120 ships under General-at-Sea George Monk blockaded the Dutch coast, capturing many merchant vessels. The Dutch economy began to collapse immediately, mass unemployment and even starvation set in. On the 24th of July, Dutch Lieutenant Admiral Martin Tromp put to sea in the Beerstraten with a fleet of 100 ships to lift the blockade at the island of Texel, where Vice Admiral Witte with 27 ships were trapped by the English. On the 8th of August, the English sighted Tromp and pursued to the south, sinking 2 Dutch ships before dark, but allowing De With to slip out and rendezvous the next day with Tromp off Scheveningen, right next to the small village of Der Heide. After Tromp had positioned himself by some brilliant maneuvering to the north of the English fleet. Battle. The winds were fierce on the 30th of July and overnight, giving both fleets pause. Around 7 in the morning of the 31st of July, the Dutch gained an advantage from the weather and attacked, led by the Beerstraten. The ensuing battle was ferocious, with both fleets moving through each other 4 times. Tromp was killed early in the fight by a sharpshooter in the rigging of William Penn's ship. His death was kept secret to keep up the morale of the Dutch, but by late afternoon, 12 of the ships had either been sunk or captured and many were too heavily damaged to continue the fight. In the end, morale broke and a large group of vessels under the command of merchant captains fled to the north. De With tried to halt the flight but had to limit himself to covering the retreat to the island of Texel. However, the English fleet, also heavily damaged and with many wounded in urgent need of treatment, had to return to port to refit and were unable to maintain the blockade. Aftermath. Both sides claimed a victory, the English because of their tactical superiority, the Dutch because the strategic goal of their attack, the lifting of the blockade, had been achieved. However, Tromp's death was a severe blow to the Dutch. Few now expected to beat the English. The Orangist faction lost political influence and Grand Pensionary Johan de Witt was willing to give formal treaty assurances to Cromwell that the infant William III of Orange would never become stadtholder, thus turning the Netherlands into a base for a Stuart restoration. Peace negotiations began in earnest, leading to the 1654 Treaty of Westminster. The damage done to the Dutch fleet effectively ended the First War. The Dutch capitulated to several English demands.